The words you use. Phillip Mountrose here. My wife and partner Jane and I help people step up, tap into the heart of success with holistic coaching and healing. And especially in these times, we need to really be aware of the words we use. They come and go very quickly. We usually don't examine them. And there are a few important things to consider here. First, we have a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas, a lot of things floating, rambling in our heads, many of which are negative. They're automatic and negative. Now, some of them are alerts, and we need to be aware of things to be cautious about. But a lot of them are false warnings, false alarms. And we like to replay these negative messages over and over again. Our favorite tunes, even though we don't like them, we play them nonetheless. A kind of an addiction, so to speak. And what's more, just living, especially in these times, can be a challenge. Just society gives us a lot of messages and a lot of conflicts, and there are real problems, of course, we know about. And the media tends to focus on the conflicts. And that influences us often unconsciously, as I'm going to describe here in this short video. And as a result, we often use and think very negative-laden words without realizing the toll it takes on us and the quality of our lives. And I want to give you some help here in identifying the problem and some solutions. And if you're more aware, you can have a more positive impact and change the quality of your life through your words and more. So there is an energy in words. Note these following words. Just kind of get a sense of these for a moment. Bad, threat, corruption, crisis, struggle, recession, fear, isolation. Okay, well, notice how you reacted to that, 1 to 10. What kind of reaction did you have about your possibilities in the world? How possible did things seem in a good way? Now, notice this set of words. Good, improve, smile, hope, fun, love, happiness, opportunities. So now what about your posture? What about your response to those words? How alive do you feel? Makes a big difference, doesn't it? So to get a fuller understanding of the words and the impact that's often going on without our realizing it, but we can change with awareness, like I'm going to help you with now, three things to be aware of. One, dealing with this, why am I so negative? Why am I keep having negative reactions, or maybe not even realizing I am, but I am. It's called a negative bias. And that's there to protect us because we want to be alert to genuine dangers. So we tend to be more aware of something negative to protect ourselves. Now, that's good in some cases when there's a real threat, but doing it too often, chronic stress occurs, and that kind of overloads our brain, overheats our brain, puts our nervous system in fight, flight, or freeze mode. So that's very stressful. That breaks us down. The media tends to amplify negative news, making it worse, compounding it. We get glued to these breaking stories, the next negative event that occurs, and we want to be aware of those things without being addicted or glued to them and feeding our nervous system and our brains negative data continuously, although we want to be aware of genuine threats as they occurred. The Guardian journal put it this way. Having negative stories, especially a lot of them, it gives you a misperception of risk. You think there's too much risk, more anxiety, lower mood levels, learned helplessness, hostility toward others, desensitization, and in some cases, you just avoid the news altogether. That's the ostrich effect, putting your head in the sand. Yet there's things we can do, as I'll continue to share here in this for a few more minutes in this video. So second thing about words is, are you really loving it? McDonald's slogan, loving it, I'm just loving it. So tunes like that stay in our mind, stick in our mind like glue, and they're often unhealthy. They're often at odds at our body, although they appeal to certain appetites and certain vulnerabilities, and they're programmed into us because these jingles, like years ago when I was growing up, cigarette ads were allowed on the air, and one of them was Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. And if you're more closer to my age, you automatically filled in the blank. M&Ms melt in your mouth, and you only pay for what you get. And they go on and on. That's the idea, to remember them. And it's a kind of a programming of repetition. That's how we get programmed, by repeating it. So one of the ideas is to limit your exposure to ads. Turn them off, avoid them as much as possible, knowing that they are affecting you, often unconsciously. So second way words can deflate us instead of inspire us, deflationary, is these judgments we all hold until they're clear. There's a series of core judgments based on negative beliefs. Things like I'm a failure, I'm a fraud, I'm defective, I'm bad, or something really kind of a final identity killer that we have until we overcome that. And it's often very sensitive. Actually, when you start to realize you have a set of negative judgments and you're feeling bad and stressful and shamed, it probably comes down to those few words, which, saying that you're stupid, you're clumsy, you're a failure, just identifying yourself in that limited way. Part of you may know that that doesn't make sense, yet part of you holds on to that. So here's a few ways you can use words and messages differently to uplift you. I'm becoming more intelligent and aware. I move with intention and learn new physical skills and control. I continue to succeed in different areas. I'm making a difference for myself and others in the world. So you can use that positive self-talk. You can journal about it, meditate about those kind of phrases, create your own, have post-it notes, to-do lists, put them around so you're remembering the positive words to program yourself positively. So getting words to work with you instead of words working often unconsciously against you. So be aware of the programming, be aware of the ads, be aware of the constant negative news that's coming at you. Try to live in a more soulful place, a more mindful place, a more uplifted place, while taking necessary precautions, especially in these days, to keep yourself safe and others safe, to be what's called pro-social. So if you have a negative reaction to that, you may have something like, this will never work, or I've tried things like that before. Well, pause, think about that. Yeah, well, you can try again. It will be different this time. You're a new person. Start the day anew. And we have holistic EFT, a tapping technique, which you may be aware of, which is very good for converting the negative beliefs and energy into positive ones too. So in closing here, words can help you actually awaken too. And I mean, there is negative thoughts. That's part of the human condition. Some of it is useful, as we've described, a negative bias. I mean, you want to know if there's something threatening, really genuinely coming at you, versus just going for a nice walk. But then you want to spend most of your time on doing things like nice walks rather than worrying about things that aren't there. So new awareness, like the ones I'm perhaps sharing or reminding you of in this video, can help you find these awakening words, some of which I suggested. And it's going to empower you, these words. It's going to work for you, so you begin to see a crisis turning into an opportunity. A disaster can actually become a doorway, and a death can lead to rebirth. And in time, words can take on more meaning and depth and can help you. And they can become precious vehicles and expressions of who you are and who you are becoming.